Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Bold Inventor Show. I'm JD Hoovener, your host, also the owner and founder here at Bold Patents. I'm a patent attorney as well, and happy to have you on this show. We're going to welcome a live audience across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube today. And so as we get rolling here, we'll welcome live questions, interactions as we go. We've got a really good inventor but waiting backstage. Spoke with him just a few weeks ago. It's Robert Russell from AnyRope. So he'll be on in just a couple of minutes. Again, this is a live broadcast, and so please do not share anything confidential. This is not going to constitute a legal discussion, no attorney-client privilege here. I do want to provide our link. This is our weekly live link to schedule a free discovery call. If you do have something confidential, you've got an invention, a trademark, a brand that you want to talk with us about in confidence, click that link. That's your weekly live link. And you do that, we'll give you a copy of this book behind me, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. And I'm missing my co-host today, Matt Colseth. Matt is out on trip with his family. I'm doing a road trip, so excited to have him back next week. And I do have a couple of questions that came in last week from actually 2 weeks ago because we missed last week that I'm going to go over right now. I don't see anybody live, but if you have any questions now or if you're watching live stream, we'll put you to the top of the list and we'll get your questions answered. If you're watching after the fact and you want to be able to get here live and have some fun, we're doing every week. So every Wednesday at noon, you can hop onto YouTube, LinkedIn, or our Facebook and join in live, whichever program you want to hop into. So take a lunch break on the West Coast or a mid-afternoon break. Hey, Jonathan, good to see you, man. As always, appreciate you coming on. Bold Move Cotton. Actually, what is that? Who's Cotton? I'm missing the reference. Help me out. Thank you. All right, let's jump to these couple questions that came in. This is from our Quora group. It's just lots of good questions here. This one I thought was especially good, clean and simple. Oh, dodgeball? So the dip, dodge, duck, and dodge. Love it. Thank you. Okay, appreciate that. So this question is, what causes a U.S. patent to become invalid even after it's been issued? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is possible. It's a darn shame, and I would be against it. But this is the rule. It's the way the laws work. They can change. Okay, so if laws change, right, either through Supreme Court or Federal Circuit decisions, the U.S. patent law can change after you already have your patent issued and granted. And so this happened about 10 years ago with Alice v. CLS Bank, very famous patent case that introduced this concept of how abstract ideas or normal everyday human behavior done on a computer, it's not enough. It doesn't meet the threshold for something to become patentable. And so a lot of patents that were just merely doing things but on a computer that we normally do before, well, that isn't significant enough. And it's just an abstract mention of doing things on a computer. So many patents were invalidated and no longer enforceable after that Supreme Court case decision. Lots of other cases can come up, and it's possible that once you get a patent granted, there may be some issues around enforcement. So the best recommendation to move forward here is if you have a patent and you're wondering about maybe you spot an infringer, speak with a patent attorney, make sure that one, your claims are going to be eligible, that you stand on solid ground, that you've got a patent that can be enforced validly with the current laws. And maybe something also to check on before you pay your big maintenance fee to the patent office, which can happen every 3.5, 5.5, and 7.5 years for utility patents. Before you pay that fee, check with the attorney, make sure that your patent is still going to be valid. Not any concern there. Design patents, which we're going to get to later, do not require any maintenance, which is pretty cool, but they don't last quite as long, 15 years versus 20 years on the utility side. All right, next question. Jonathan, if you have anything out there, anybody else out there watching, fire away with your questions. I'm going to move on to our guest, I think, in just 2 more questions. I'll try to get one or 2 more in here. Wow, tons of questions. I haven't looked into this one yet. No pre-screen. Okay. I'm using Autodesk Fusion. I'm not familiar with this. Maybe some other drafters out there, if you're listening, may be familiar with this. But I cannot convert the design into a drawing into a patent format? What are some software that people use to convert into patent drawing formats? Great question. Again, I'm not familiar with Autodesk, but it's probably pretty common. So you may get an answer here from some of our audience members. What I will say is that patent drawings are specific and does depend, of course, legally, whether it's a utility patent or a design. Design patent drawings are extremely important to get very, very accurate and correct, because the actual drawing, as we'll look at later today, one of our guests has a design patent, that is what they own, is what it looks like, the aesthetic 2D drawing representing the three-dimensional object. Now, utility patents, you can get away with a little bit, call it less formal, or they can be even informal, so long as they're helpful and they provide additional substance to define what's claimed in the written claim. For utility patents, utility patents, drawings are important, and you should use the right software. The important part about those is you need to make sure that every aspect is flag noted properly. So in the spec, the written part of the utility patent application, in the detailed description of the drawings, there's going to need to be mention of every single aspect, especially novel aspects. And you mentioned numbering, right? Flag note 1, you've got to make sure that it points to the right part of your drawing. Of course, it's got to be in clear, legible black and white drawing. There are very few exceptions, but they do sometimes allow color if color is part of what's being claimed. So, long-winded way to say, I don't know the software you're talking about, but I would highly recommend you get with a patent attorney or someone who's familiar with patent drafting that can help you with making sure you're going to end up on the right side. Here at Bold, we use a third-party drafting team. We actually use 2 different contractors, and that's all they do every day is draft drawings. And we are, as patent attorneys, most of us don't do the drawings anymore. Long ago, we used to. If you've seen some of those old school, posters they've got, where the inventor signs and the patent attorney signs as well. The attorney used to be the one that drew it was the artist that actually drew the patent. No longer is the case in most issues. You will find a few patent attorneys with some gray hair that have done some of that in the past. All right, last chance to get your question in. I see we have a few other folks joining us live. We'll have our guest on in just a couple minutes here, Mr. Rob. He's waiting from AnyRope, so he'll be on in just a minute. I'm going to do one more question. If you have any questions on our live audience, I'll take that first. Okay, this is a good common question. This one comes up a lot. Okay, I searched in the USPTO to see if my patent was published a couple months ago. They filed their application 2 years ago. They're saying, I assume the patent is too early to become granted. How can I check this status? I don't see the info when I search the number. Well, I'll answer that question of where to search. At the USPTO, they've got a new patent search. It is quite good, and it's available to the public. It used to be called the PAIR, the PAIR, but now it's part of just the Patent Center, and you can conduct a normal natural language search that will work. And of course, you can also search by your application number. Typically, for utility applications, after 18 months, so a year and a half after your priority date, which could either be a provisional, or if you filed a non-provisional straight away, 18 months after that earliest filing date, that's about when the application will be published. So long as you did not file a petition to not publish. I won't get into that, but most applications will publish before they grant. The idea there is that you get the word out, you actually share the information and knowledge to the whole world. You're kind of taking a risk as the inventor that, hey, I'm going to be, in a way, losing my knowledge that I've gained. This invention is going to get shared with the world. You're sort of gambling. You're betting on the fact that you're going to get the application granted. And that is the big trade-off. Is you're sharing the invention, you're helping us all get smarter in exchange for getting a limited monopoly on the claim set that you have hopefully issued. In the last part of this question, the second part is, I assume the patent's too early to become granted. Not always true. In fact, you can actually pay and get expedited treatment and get to the front of the line, and examination can be done within a year. So sometimes before a patent's published officially, it gets granted. So the timing for granting really is independent from when it will be published. So if you have any questions about that, if you have any specific issue you want to get with us, check out that link above, schedule a free discovery call, and we can help you check the status of that and advise you. Okay, I don't see any live questions, so we're going to bring on our guest. Rob, thanks for waiting backstage. Welcome to the Bold Inventor Show.
Hey, Judy. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again. Thanks for being up for this and sharing what you're up to. It's a really cool name, AnyRope. It's kind of like, it's awesome. And I don't have any hats. I'm not that cool that have a rope yet, and maybe I'd check out your website. But I'd love to hear kind of your founder story. How did you get started with AnyRope?
Yeah, my adventure into designing and inventing things started, I don't know, a really long time ago. Honestly, I've been a maker my whole life. For the last 10 years, I've been designing light-up goods. So I own patents on a light-up keychain. I've designed a bottle opener that lights up when you will go open a bottle, another keychain, all sorts of stuff. When COVID hit, I got kind of bored, and I started making custom hats and kind of fell in love with it. Like, I've always been a baseball guy and a golf guy. I wear hats all the time. But AnyRope came about because I got annoyed that there weren't enough cool rope hats out there. We're talking when I first started back in 23 or so, I started playing with the idea of AnyRope. Imperial was out there making a bunch of great rope hats, but it's a whole bunch of white hats with 8 different color ropes that they have in stock. And I felt like there had to be a solution to make a rope interchangeable, be able to add it afterwards. Like, I don't have, the analogy I like to use is I don't have a closet full of white dress shirts that have ties sewn into them in various colors. I mean, it's you pick a shirt and then you pick a tie to match what you're wearing, match your shoes or belt or whatever it is. And in today's day and age of people wanting to make their fit great, right? Like, being able to go change a rope to match what you're wearing, I think was a concept that should exist, and I didn't understand why it didn't. So I started building ways to do it, and that's how we began.
I love it. I love that analogy. Yeah, you don't have ties sewn into shirts.
Right.
It seems ridiculous. It should also seem ridiculous to have a rope tied into a hat. You love the hat. Why are you stuck with one rope? Color, design, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Pretty cool. So you have got some intellectual property, obviously Bold patents. Let's talk that first. When you mentioned 2023 or 2022, when in that process did you kind of say, you know what, I've got something unique here? And how did that come about?
I think after doing very extensive searches trying to find something, I realized the idea in itself was novel entirely, right? I could not find anything, all sorts of articles about rope hats from the 60s and 70s when they first started on visors, then became popular, and it's been this cycle of ropes come into play, then they go away. There's nothing out there. So I started making it. Made a whole bunch of prototypes myself, and then whittled down to here's the absolute best way to do it. No matter what you try to change, you could move this a little bit, you could change a piece of a connection, but in general, it all has to go exactly the way I built the hat, right? So I think we'll get there, but what I didn't do was ever show it to a hat factory. So I actually, until the design patent was granted, there was not a hat factory or rope factory in the world that had any idea what I was doing. There weren't many people other than like my wife and my children and my close friends who had any idea what I was doing.
So you kind of kept this pretty close, confidential until you were sure that you could get it granted. Got it.
Yeah, I did. I thought that was important to do. And then finally, once I got the first patent, it was a matter of like, well, let's hope the hat factory can actually do what I think they can. And it turns out we can. So now we're having fun.
Nice. Let's take a look at that patent. I'm going to kind of nerd out a little bit. This is what I look at all day, every day. I'm going to share this with the audience. For those on the podcast, we're pulling up patent number D for for design 1040482, letter S. This was granted September 3rd, 2024. And so we're under a year, so pretty brand new granting here to you, Mr. Russell. And so design patents, as I mentioned, I think one of the questions is you get 15 years from the date of grant. So quite a chunk of time, not until 39, I guess. You'll have September 39, the ability to exclude others from making, using, or selling. And for a design patent, the claim is really simple. For some that haven't seen the claim, the written language is just an ornamental design for the combo cap and cord, as shown and described. And I do want to ask a little bit. You mentioned the term cord. Was there a reason why you used the word cord as opposed to rope?
Because what we refer to as a rope, like one of these, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be rope material. The fact of the matter is, it is always going to be a cord, but it does not have to be a rope.
So the more generic term is cord. I love that.
Right. It
Keep
could be
it broad.
twine, it could be, it could be hemp, it could be all sorts of stuff, but it's always going to be technically a cord.
And it's amazing that you were able to get a patent on something so simple. 2024, 2025 is a hat with a cord. My gosh, and it is, and the idea of a simple design patent means it's more valuable in general. So it is a hat, and what you own is in black solid line here, where it's got this cord coming across the bill of the hat. You've got a lot of citations from the examiner. Kind of zoomed in a bit, and I think the most interesting picture here shows how the cord is shaped on figure 9, I think it was, at the very bottom here, where it kind of shows where the cord comes in, and on the underside here, and for those in the podcast kind of looking at the underside of the brim, I don't know what you call this flap.
Sweatband.
What's it called?
The sweatband.
Sweatback.
Sweatband. Yeah.
Sweatband, sorry. And so there's the aperture, the hole right there, and the cord comes out with this T, and it goes right inside there, positioned to where there's enough room for half of that T to come in, looks like, and secure. Awesome. So you got all those figures in. We talked patent drawings in one of the questions earlier today. And one of the important features of a patent drawing, one quick thing I want to point out is that I thought on this, you did a good job, your drafter did a good job, patent attorney, if you did. What's in solid lines is claimed, but what's in dashed lines is not. And so I like the fact that you kept this attachment in dashed lines, meaning this is applicable to universal fit, where it's a, I don't know what you call it, where there's no adjustment, or any type of adjustment means on the hat would still be viable. So that was very thoughtful, because that's not part of what's claimed, which does make it broader. Awesome stuff. Okay, let me stop sharing here. I think it's a solid design. So it's only been about a year. Have you, from a competitive perspective, now that you finally shared this with the world, have you seen anybody trying to rip it off?
Yes.
Can be good news. Tell me what you've seen.
Well, so I went and previewed the line at I come from the promo marketing world. Like my other company operates there. So I went out to a big show in January where I first brought the idea out to people, which was terrifying because it's a rather large show, and I hoped people would like the idea, but from there, a few months later, there was another hat company that was exhibiting at the show and released something relatively similar. I know the idea has been out there, right? I think I've met with other hat company CEOs because half of my model is I don't want to be the only person in the world capable of making this hat. I could. I believe, especially when the second patent is granted, there's not a better way to improve on the way I built it. But I like a lot of other hat companies. I think they make fantastic things. Everybody has their own vibe, their own style, what they're great at, the markets that people look to them for. And I would love to work with them. Right? I believe that if you are currently making a hat that has a rope sewn into it, you're just doing it wrong. And I mean, it's a respectfully headwear industry. You've been doing it wrong for 60 some years. And it's one of those things where it just makes sense for this piece to be an accessory to the item rather than a piece that is sewn in. The original concept came partially from wanting cooler hats to buy, but like I started making or having my own hats manufactured because I wanted, a navy hat with a teal rope, which coincidentally, here is from design patent to actual hat. There's your little open channel.
Yep.
Rope
Need
goes in.
a little bigger here. Hold on.
Slots on the other side.
Yep.
Good to go. Around the front. Back in. Few seconds. Navy teal. Right?
Right.
But then I was manufacturing a navy hat with a teal rope and a navy hat with a red rope and a navy hat with a white rope. And I'd sell out of the navy and teal and the navy and white, but I'd have hundreds of the navy and red. And so from a production efficiency look, it's phenomenal. Being able to, I can put 40,000 ropes on one shelf in my warehouse and not take up all their space, but be able to interchangeably use them and have, I guess currently I have 28 different ropes available on a navy hat, right?
Yeah.
So how it works out now is it's the largest selection of rope hats in the world, which is fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's take a look at your site. You're selling on a website, anyrope.com. Walk us through the site. What are we looking at? What are some of the things that you're seeing are trending in terms of some of the revenue?
Yeah. So early on, I have not done that. The one all the way on the left on the screen, that United States of AnyRope hat, is the first retail model we're putting out, like a stock patch, right? So that navy hat is then shipped with 3 different ropes for you to change out on a daily basis. But is intentionally shown in that image without a rope, because the beauty of the way I built this thing is the rope channels are completely hidden. You can wear one of any rope hat without a rope, and nobody will ever know it has the capability to take one. You're not changing the style or fit, or it doesn't look like anything's missing. It looks like any other regular hat. It just has a secret.
Right. Oh, so cool. All right. So the hat itself, has those perforations, but it's hidden. So that's the key. You can wear this without a rope. That's great. Okay, let's go back. So the hats. So if I'm going to go buy one from you, I will pick a hat and then pick several ropes. Is that how you're trying to go about it?
Yeah, there's a couple options. From the just general consumer side of it,
right.
We're starting to put together a number of different stock designs that you can just go buy that hat. So the United States of AnyRope one is available in white or navy, comes with the 3 ropes. And so that idea, the AnyRope foursome, will be what our retail listings are. They will always be a hat, stock patch, 3 ropes. So you get 4 looks within one hat. A lot of the early traction early on has been with other hat makers. People who are stocking hats and they're embroiderers, or they're making laser engraved patches. Affectionately, we decided to, our grouping, they're called rope dealers. I guess I get the honor of being the world's first ever actual rope dealer, and I can go slinging. So we've got a nice cartoon of me there. But it's a community that I was a part of for the last handful of years, making hats. and some of the most intelligent, talented people I have ever met. And I think it's phenomenal to be able to work with all of them. I get feedback from them. They help me out. I mean, we release new ropes every month, the monthly rope drop. So
Cool.
These three were the June rope drop. There's an America, one we call Magnolia, that's green, white, yellow, and then a Vice Vibes, like the original Miami Vice, pink and teal look.
Okay.
That was my 10-year-old son's color scheme of choice, so I got to give him credit on that one. It's gone over really well with all of our dealers. So all of them, they're going on and they're buying blank hats and then ropes. And since I changed the way hats are made and how you would want to buy them, we also changed the way you could buy them, right? So the entire site operates like an a la carte menu. You go get whatever blank hats you want and whatever ropes you want, because you might want 12 hats and 24 ropes because you want 2 per hat, or you might want 12 hats and 6 ropes because 6 of the people you're giving hats to are not rope people. So, and then people can go through and order custom embroidery or we do full color custom patches at no minimum.
Okay, cool. So you're sort of creating this sort of other market, other B2B. You're kind of the wholesaler.
Correct.
Retail, call them distributors, retailers, dealers, and they're out there selling. Can you tell us ballpark, what kind of margin you're making, or maybe not margin, but what kind of success they're having? Are they able to sell at a high enough mark to make it work?
Absolutely. The way I built the entire system was to be able to work with other people. So whether that is another major hat brand that I'm licensing to and they're paying a royalty on every hat, I built it in a way that they can still keep their margins and be able to carry the hat with minor adjustments. If you get into all the math, the back end production efficiency savings make up for the royalty a lot.
Right. Good.
Depends how big we're talking about here, but yeah, they certainly do. But thus far, everybody who's purchased any, I mean, I just got inventory last week. So, and I think when you and I talked a couple months ago, it was like, well, I should actually be getting inventory right before this, so that'll be fun.
So it did show up.
It did.
Good.
It did. Actually, a day early. It was wonderful. So we just started shipping, I think, last Thursday or weekend. I think we sent out 36 orders. Some of them one-offs, some of them, 400 or 500 hats, and it's been so far great. The feedback from all of my rope dealer friends has been wonderful. I get to see pictures of what they're doing with them, and that's the fun part for me, right? I made the product, but now I want the rest of the world to contribute into like, this is why this is cool. Yes.
Now, I love that. Let's talk about maybe longer term or bigger plays. You're in this industry. I'm sure you've thought about NFL, right? Or big labels, or, I don't know, you could think about 100 different things, big channels, licensing plays. What's your thought on that? Are you headed that way soon? Worried about it? Excited about it?
I'm excited about it for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. If you go read through comments, like when the NFL put ropes on all their sideline hats last year, if you go read through the comments on the website selling them, you get a whole lot of people saying like, I really wish this didn't have that dumb rope on it. Or I just hate the color of that rope, or whatever it is, right? So for something like that, yeah, what I built is pretty much perfect. Giving people the ability, you can buy that hat, you can wear it with the rope or without. The next steps we're taking, internally at least, is screen printing ropes. So I have a first order in production right now with a high school's logo screen printed all across the rope.
Wow,
in their
cool.
color, obviously. And we're playing with some other fun stuff, like making ropes out of game-used hockey nets and game-used basketball nets.
That's
the
awesome.
possibilities are kind of endless. And so, I guess the ideal would be, sure, New Era calls and they want to work together. That'd be great.
Right.
Dream come true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I'm going to keep just trying to find more fun ways to work within, this arena we've built. And how do we keep expanding it? How do we make it better for people?
It's fantastic. Good. Now, are you doing this all on your own, or you got a team working with you, starting to grow?
I'm growing a team. I do so through the promo industry. The AnyRope is distributed by my other company because they're already an active supplier in the industry. We have a client base, so that certainly helps. I have sales reps in the Northeast. I'm in Chicago, but then my internal team here. On the AnyRope side, I actually just signed. I don't know what we're going to call him. He's maybe a CMO, maybe a CXO. Old friend of mine who's incredibly talented, and we hashed out a whole trade show plan this morning in over a couple hours, and we're going to have a lot of fun and grow this thing. I have another partner coming on board, and I'm slowly going to start to assemble this team so that I can really focus on building more product. And I'm not very good with social media. I forget to take pictures all the time. I need all these people.
100%. Okay. Well, a lot of good news. I mean, I was like, if there is any, let's talk about, call it bad news, call it hurdles, issues you're having. Or you want to share any of those, or maybe just risks that you think you have to get over this year?
Yeah.
What's on your mind? Things that are bothering you or struggling through right now?
Right now, I feel pretty good. There's right out of my first show in January, I spoke with a bunch of much bigger hat companies, and wanted to start working on how we can work together. How do I make hats to license? Do we use something from their line? And as I was having samples come in, all of a sudden tariffs went to 145%, and so we need to move out of China. And so I have samples being made in factories in 3 different countries right now, for a number of, some of them for my line, some of them for future partners. And thus far, things are going nicely. I mean, it's a struggle. I put out a lot of money over the course of the last few years and funded it all personally, not through any of my companies. But I think we're really starting to get going. Getting the first shipment of hats here this is a really, really great feeling. Now I have 3 times the size of the first one coming, with 12 more total hat styles and colors. So we go from 6 hats to 18.
Yeah, I think the tariff thing may have been kind of a blessing in disguise. I mean, you were at an early enough stage, you're able to pivot and you're able to go to different manufacturers. Maybe bigger companies are stuck, right, with certain contracts or having to move a lot, higher volume around. So maybe that was actually a good thing. Now you're nimble. You've got several countries, you're saying, that can bring you product. That's pretty good. That's very, very good. Cool. Well, I think we've covered a whole lot. I mean, in terms of what's next, you did mention you've got a second patent that's filed.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you're kind of secretive usually about those. Do you mind sharing anything?
No. It was filed. Actually, the provisional. So the priority filing date is January of 2024.
Okay. So it's been filed. Has it been published yet?
It has not been published yet.
Okay. All right. Well, any teasers on that, or high level concept?
No. Essentially, it's not all that different from the design patent, with the exception that it's the utility, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a hat that has an interchangeable rope. It can be a visor. It doesn't have to have full back panels. Like in the design patent, we excluded panel construction and material, in addition to the closure that we excluded there, because it didn't need to be this performance poly perforated. It could be a trucker. It could be a cotton hat. Any any material or structure you could come up with. So, but then, yeah, I mean, we cover some more hat designs or headwear pieces in the other patent, and nothing to share yet on future other things I have come up with, but
cool.
There's always ideas brewing. I've got a whole folder of businesses and inventions on my phone that
I can tell. Like I like those little teasers about the rope, the net. So that was pretty interesting. That's kind of fun. Like you said, once you start thinking, it does open up. It seems like such a simple concept, but the variations and creativity just bubbles, and it's very fun. So I'm excited for you. Happy to hear you're on a great path. I do want to offer anybody that's out there listening on our show the ability to reach out to you if you're open to that, or you want to share your email address if someone wants to hit you up and connect.
Yeah, I am rob@anyrope.com.
All right. I'll put that here in the comments. So feel free to reach out to Rob. Last minute, if you have any questions or anybody out there want to ask away, this is the time. You can get a hold of him at rob@anyrope.com. Cool. Well, Rob, I think we're going to wrap up our show again. Thanks for being a great guest and sharing your story with us. I'm gonna have to go check out your website and pick out one for myself. Get in the trend. Put a hat on. It's hot enough out here. Need one. So anyway, again, thanks a lot, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Take care, Jimmy. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Go big. Go bold.
Yeah.